You remember cutting the victim's throat?
No, sir.
We head to Idaho Falls, Idaho. The defendant is Brian Drips, who's in court for a plea deal in the rape and murder of Angie Dodge, which occurred over 23 years ago. So what took so long? At the time, another suspect, Christopher Tapp, confessed to the crime after intense and coercive questioning by police. Tapp pleaded not guilty, but was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. For years, Tapp insisted he was innocent. Then, in 2019, a DNA sample taken from Drips matched the killer. Drips was arrested and charged with the crime. Now, at age 55, Drips finally appears before a judge.
If you'll please stand or raise your right hand, my clerk will put you under oath.
To avoid the death penalty, Drips pleads guilty to both crimes.
Have you had a full chance to review the plea agreement?
Yes, I have.
Count one, as set out in the information, is a charge of murder in the first degree. How do you plead?
Guilty.
All right, tell me what you did, which makes you guilty of this charge.
But the murder one was I went over there with the intent to just rape her. I was pretty high on cocaine and alcohol. I had a pocket knife with me. I didn't mean to murder her. I didn't think I did, but I guess it happened. I remember, the rape part. I remember falling down her pants, and then I remember leaving. That's about all I remember of that evening.
Do you remember cutting the victim's throat?
No, sir.
Do you deny that that occurred?
I don't deny it. I mean, I can't remember it, though.
Next, it was the rape charge.
Count two is a charge of rape. How do you plead to count two?
Guilty.
Drips is later sentenced to 20 years to life in a state prison. As for Christopher Tapp, who lost nearly 20 years of his life for someone else's crime, he's exonerated.
Tapp, would you like to speak to the court?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm thankful that I've been given this second chance of life. I've wasted 20 years of my life for something that I never did. But again, I also grew up in this 20 years.
There's clear and convincing evidence the defendant was convicted of a crime for which he did not commit.
Tapp was released from prison with his good name finally cleared. Next, we head to Akron, Ohio for his sentencing. 38-year-old Erica Stefanko has been convicted of aggravated murder and murder. 9 years earlier, Stefanko's then husband, 30-year-old Chad Cobb, was in a custody battle with his ex-wife, Ashley Biggs, over their young daughter. At the time, Ashley, a 25-year-old Army vet, was working as a pizza delivery driver. According to the prosecution, Stefanko helped lure her to an ambush by making a fake pizza delivery order. When Ashley arrived at the designated delivery location, Cobb beat her and strangled her to death. Stefanko and Cobb then allegedly dumped Ashley's body and her vehicle in a cornfield roughly 12 miles away. It was found the next day by police. That same day, after receiving a tip from Ashley's employer, police found Cobb hiding in a wooded area near his parents' house, and he was arrested. A year later, Cobb pled guilty to murder to avoid possibly receiving the death penalty, and he was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. It took prosecutors another 6 years to collect enough evidence before they could charge Stefanko in Ashley's death, including a recorded phone call with Chad Cobb's mother, where Stefanko appeared to admit her involvement.
I know that I did what I did, but it's not because I'm just complete trash.
The mother of four pled not guilty and took her chances at trial.
All rise.
After a 7-day trial and 14 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict.
The jury has found the defendant, Erica Stefanko, guilty.
Today at sentencing before Judge Amy Corrigal-Jones, several members of Ashley's family deliver victim impact statements. Appearing remotely is Ashley's mother, Kimberly Biggs.
Every day I feel unspeakable pain and loss that I will never get over. The daughter I raised is no more. She is gone, and she is never coming back. Erica, today you deserve the same compassion that you gave none.
Stefanko's mother, who speaks off camera, offers a different view of the defendant.
Erica is my beloved daughter. I have observed my daughter with black eyes. I've observed the emotional abuse from Chad Cobb. I pray for clemency in your sentencing.
Finally, before sentencing is handed down, the defendant, who maintains her innocence, speaks.
I was most certainly my worst self during my relationship with Chad. Your Honor, if it is healing and helpful to Ashley's family and friends, think of me as the monster. If that helps these people, I can accept that.
When she's finished, the judge sentenced Stefanko to life in prison with a chance of parole after 30 years. But a year later, the conviction was overturned when an Ohio Court of Appeals found that by allowing Cobb to testify against Stefanko remotely because of COVID-19 restrictions, the defendant was denied the right to confront the witness. Stefanko was released from prison, and the state is considering a retrial. We're now in the El Paso County Courthouse in El Paso, Texas.
All rise.
Please be seated. The record should reflect the attorneys for the state, the attorneys for the accused. The accused are present in the courtroom.
The man you see here is 41-year-old Daniel Villegas, accused of killing 2 teens in 1993 when he was just 16. At that time, without an attorney or his parents present, Villegas says he was coerced by an El Paso detective into confessing to the murders. Despite recanting the confession hours later, it became a key piece of evidence for the prosecution.
Present in the courtroom, the court has received a message from the jury indicating that they've reached a verdict.
Villegas has been on trial 3 separate times for this crime and has maintained his innocence throughout.
Let's bring the jury in.
His first trial in 1994 ended in a mistrial due to a hung jury. A 1995 retrial ended with a conviction for capital murder, and Villegas was sentenced to life in prison. After spending 18 years in prison, that verdict was thrown out in 2013 because of ineffective assistance of counsel. Villegas was released in January of 2014 and has remained out on bond as he awaited a 3rd trial. During that time, he fathered 2 children. Though the prosecution continued to insist on his guilt, there was no DNA, no firearm, and no forensic evidence presented linking Villegas to the shooting.
If the defendant will please stand.
The last 25 years of his life, much of it in prison, has all led up to this moment.
In the District Court of El Paso County, Texas, 409th Judicial District, the State of Texas versus Daniel Villegas, number 94-0D09328. Verdict Form B. We, the jury, find the defendant, Daniel Villegas, not guilty of...
For the first time since he was 16 years old, 25 years ago, Daniel Villegas is a free man.
Mr. Villegas, you have been under many conditions in this court. You are no longer under any conditions in this court. you are free to leave. Good luck, kids.
We've all heard of a judge throwing the book at someone for their crimes, but you're about to see a judge who's throwing a book for a whole different reason. Lawyers and a judge are trying to select a jury, a critical step in ensuring a fair trial. The defendant is Jose Azucena, who's charged with 40 counts of sexual misconduct, including kidnapping and rape of a minor. It's day 2 of jury selection, and Azucena's attorney is interviewing a prospective juror who sits off camera. The judge listens on.
So can you be fair to both sides?
I think I would be biased.
You're off this jury, but you didn't say that yesterday.
It looks like the judge has taken issue with a potential juror.
Well, I said I had
No, listen, what we're not going to have in this jury is people coming in overnight and thinking up and trying to make up now so they can get out of the jury. That's not going to happen, all right? Right? Because if I find that someone said something yesterday under oath and changes it because they're trying to fabricate something to get out of serving on this jury, there's going to be repercussions.
The judge is unsatisfied and demands an explanation.
What's going on here? Tell me what's going on.
I said I had other issues yesterday, and you said you'd get back to me.
All right, so why you got issues? Why can't you're saying that you can't be fair and impartial to both sides? You're going to completely throw out our entire justice system because you don't want to be fair and impartial.
Disgusted with the juror, who happens to be a nurse, the judge throws a book, which turns out to be a pocket-sized version of the U.S. Constitution, against the wall. Things are heating up, so attorneys attempt to intervene.
Your Honor, may we approach? Your Honor.
You can't approach. You're not going to be fair and impartial.
Like I said, with my nursing history, and I've been involved with child abuse, and I've been involved with incest with young girls that deliver 13 years old. It makes me rather, biased.
Now, you're off this jury. You're off this jury. You're removed. Go home. All right?
The nurse is excused from jury duty, not before the judge gets in one last remark.
I don't like your attitude.
The case against Azucena eventually makes it to trial, and he's found guilty. He's sentenced to life in prison, but that's not where the story ends.
You're saying that you can't be fair and impartial to both sides.
The Nevada Supreme Court overturns the conviction, claiming Judge Scotti created an intimidating environment which tainted the jury panel. Azucena is awarded a new trial and a new judge. Until then, he remained in custody. Although Scotti apologized for the incident, his outburst resulted in ethics charges, courtesy of the Nevada Commission of Judicial Discipline.
You're removed. Go home. All right? I don't like your attitude.
Here to see you, Judge.
Next, we're in Houston, Texas for a contempt of court hearing for 63-year-old Wayne Dolcefino. Judge Daryl Jordan presiding. Dolcefino's an investigative journalist working on a story that he believes will uncover corruption in the Houston political and legal systems. His investigation focuses on possible conflicts of interest in the city's housing authority construction projects. The contracts were apparently brokered by a real estate consulting firm run by the wife of the county commissioner. And back when that county commissioner was a state senator 5 years earlier, his lawyer was Daryl Jordan, now Judge Daryl Jordan. Dolcefino has filed multiple formal complaints against the mayor of Houston and other state officials for failing to provide access to public documents. Judge Jordan has reportedly failed to respond to Dolcefino's request for an interview. So Dolcefino took matters into his own hands and crashed Jordan's courtroom, recording the exchange with a pen camera hidden in his pocket. The judge wasn't happy about the unscheduled visit and charged Dolcefino with contempt of court, claiming he persisted in disrupting proceedings. Dolcefino spent the night in jail, but the next day he's back in court, accompanied by his attorneys who argue that the previous day's events were all a simple misunderstanding and that their client's behavior does not warrant a contempt charge.
He's passionate, he's committed, he's tenacious. Whatever happened yesterday, it is certainly my understanding that he did not intend to be contumacious at all. I think it was a misunderstanding.
But the judge disagrees.
What happened yesterday was completely off the charts. The only thing I could have done different was get down on my knees and beg your client to please stop.
Judge Jordan sentenced the reporter to serve 3 days in the Harris County Jail and suspended another 180 days of jail time. Dolcefino posted a $100 bond and was released the next day. Dolcefino immediately appealed the conviction and, about a month later, released his hidden camera recordings.
Here to see you, Judge.
Good to see you.
How are you?
I have no complaints.
Well, good.
Oh, you're here to see me?
Yes, sir. I came to talk to you, Judge, because we're doing a story and you've not returned my phone calls.
Can't do that.
Well, court's not in session, Judge. You're not like the president. Sorry.
Mr. Dolcefino, you need to leave the courtroom.
Why? You don't want to answer my questions?
Because I don't want to hold you in contempt for interrupting court. We are in the middle of court right now, so either you can leave.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. I didn't see anybody in court right now.
Because you don't understand how court works. So either you can leave or you go into custody. Which one is your choice?
Well, you know what, Judge? You have the right to do whatever you want. I'm simply trying to understand why all our complaints have been appointed to investigators.
You are interrupting court. Either you leave or I'm going to hold you in direct contempt.
Well, then, Judge, you do what you got to do. You want to hold me in contempt for simply asking questions? Go ahead. I mean, we're just trying to find out why our complaints have gone unanswered.
All right, sir. Got a problem with that?
Sure.
2 years after his arrest, with the help of his camera pen footage, Dolcefino's contempt conviction was overturned. And 4 months after that, Judge Jordan was arrested and charged with official oppression for unlawfully having Dolcefino arrested that day in the courtroom. Jordan was taken into custody and released the same day on $500 bond. A grand jury indicted him on the charge, but 8 days later, the case was dropped for what the district attorney called a lack of evidence. Dolcefino has since called for the judge's removal, but Jordan remains on the bench. Meanwhile, Dolcefino's requests for an interview continue to go unanswered.